So hello guys, as promised this is supposed to be the video so I could explain a little bit better about how making this exercise. Believe me guys, it's gonna be so much easier to actually to understand, and maybe you would say like why this was so important, but believe me, sometimes it is easier when we show this kind of practices, especially when we are starting to practice a little bit about scaling. Okay, so remember, we're talking about Altamira bull as the exercise by Betty Edwards, where we are supposed to use our right and left side of our brains both working together to try to train our brains to tell them that we are not supposed to see a bull or an upside bull. In this case, remember that we are trying to make our brain learn to observe lines, colors, textures, and shapes, but not concepts. Because remember that concepts are the cultural and specific abstractions, and sometimes they are translated into specific figures. Okay, so basically, for the success of our drawing, it's going to keep practicing this kind of mini exercise to train our brain. So, what are we gonna do? Remember that this is the file that you will have, and what you need to know is that even this is a digital file, we know that this is the size of this picture is a letter size page, 27.994 by 21.59. That's the real size of a letter size sheet of paper, right? And obviously, if we divide those areas into 4 pieces, then we'll have those results, okay? So what are the tools that we're going to use? So in this case, we're going to use our pencil or something like this, and our scale rule or scaling tool. I'm not sure if yes, I think it's basically that scale ruler. That's the correct name. Our eraser, and obviously our block, the one that we have been working with, right? First things first, why is this so important? So basically, this is the most basic tool for an architect, because this is designed to know the dimensions of a scale drawing. If you can see, there's a little size over here, and that's gonna mean the size according to the unit. So basically, this means that this centimeter is going to represent something that is 100 times smaller. Okay, so for example, if we go out here, let me see, there would be somewhere around in meters. Sorry, there it is. If you see, guys, in one of the sides of this scale ruler, you're gonna see here an M. This is supposed to represent 1 meter, and the scale for that meter is going to be 25 times smaller than a real meter. Okay, so this is basically the function or like the use of this tool. It's super simple, but it's super easy to use once you or the ones that are gonna work in the future to be an architect or like an industrial designer. This will be really helpful. Okay, so what's gonna be the next step? What we want to do is to make that drawing to the size of this block without distorting the proportion. What does that mean? If I'm trying to scale that drawing, it is highly possible that it's not gonna be the same size of my block, because as you can see, the block is a little bit more rectangle, and the original letter size piece of paper is a little bit like, yes, it's still a rectangle, but it's not so long. Okay, what I want you to do is to try to use the maximum space all over this piece of paper on the block. Okay, so first thing you have to do is to decide which of the sides you're gonna use it to start scaling your drawing. In this case, guys, I'm gonna use the height. Okay, we're gonna use this because if we use the width, we are gonna basically know that because this is a little bit more square, even it's a rectangle, our block it's longer. Okay, so in this case we're going to use the height. So we have 21.5. So what we're gonna do is rule of 3. So why do we need to make a rule of three? Well, it's because we need to know what's gonna be the size, the scaling size of the width of our drawing, because remember, we already know which is going to be the maximum height. We said that if we go back to our original, so we have just basically two sizes, right? It's going to be the width and the height. So if the original is 21.59 and the maximum height of our block, then we're gonna make our rule of three. We have the letter size measurements, so it's 21.59 of height, a width of 27.94, and then we have our maximum height of 24. Remember this, guys, this is our maximum height. Actually, you can see it, it's over here. Okay, so back again, so this is 24 and the variable, it's the x, right? So this is basically, you already know what to do. We multiply this times this, divide it into this, and then we will get the width. Okay, so what does that mean? That the maximum width of our drawing, the perfect scale of that here, using the height of the size of our block, is going to be this size, 31.06. And if you pay attention, that's perfect, because the maximum width of the block, this is the mini sketch of the block, it's 33.5. Okay, so what's gonna thing that we want to do? So I don't want you guys, because it would be super easy just to start drawing here, starting from this corner and then just going right and drawing this size, right? This size, the 31.06. No, in this case, I want you to look for the center of your block so we can have our drawing right at the middle point of the page. Okay, so just make sure before starting that you're actually using the centimeters. Try to forget for now this one. Just make sure that is the centimeters. Okay, so we are going to look for the middle point or the central part of your page, or of the page of your block. So we said that we need to go for 16.75. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. Make sure that when you start measuring, okay, you need to be super precise. Okay, even like, look at this, guys. If you start moving just a little bit your scale rule, you will see that you will start having like a millimeter problem, and we don't want that. At the end, that's going to be very important. That's why we're training. So try to make sure to verify that the edge that you're actually taking from the edge here on the ruler, as you can see, it's right on the edge. Okay, so just grab your ruler, go to here, because obviously we'll do both sides up and down, because that's one of the things that I will explain in 1 minute. So we start here and then we go 16.75. okay, 16.5. remember, this is the 0.5. then we have 2 millimeters, and because it's 75, then we have to be super precise and draw a line just between the 7 and the 8, the 7th millimeter and the 8th millimeter. Okay, so once you have made this mark, you have to make the same thing here down, because this is one of the most common errors, guys. If you are just tried, or you intend to make a line like this, and you're saying that you're super you know, like that you have the best drawing skills, this is not gonna work out. Obviously, sometimes you can use some other tools, but for now we're just gonna use the scale ruler. So the thing that you need to do again is measure, or try to look for the measurement again. So we go right where the page is starting. So now that you have already these 2 marks here and here, then you can trace your line. Obviously, you want to make like a very soft line, because remember, that's gonna be just the grid. Okay, we don't need to make this like super hard and strong, just like a very soft trace. What's gonna be the next? Well, if you remember, then here we have our original. What we need to look for is for the size of the translation, or like the size of the drawing as we need it over here, and we're going to look for the width. And we said that that was the amount, right? 31.06. And how are we going to do it to make it center? Well, to make sense, then we're going to divide 31.06 by 2, and then we'll have 15.53 centimeters. That means that I'm going to start looking for that that measurement. So that's 15.5. And then I'm gonna do the same mark down, okay? The same way. Okay, so once again, I have both markings, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we just grab our pencil, and then we draw a straight line. In this case, guys, you can do this a little bit like, you can trace it stronger, because remember, this is the border of our drawing. This border is supposed to be this border, okay? And then once again, for example, guys, once, obviously this is not supposed to be as a tracing. You can use like a regular rule to make the traces or to make the lines. One of the things that is going to be my recommendation always is try to use the area where you can, you know, like try to push down, because if I do this, my line, you know, once I want to draw the line, it will move. So you can, what you can do is just turn it around, and then you can have a better way to, it makes sense, because we have support over here, right? So this is perfectly placed over here. Then I make my line, and that's it. Okay, so basically, guys, what we did is to make this, we scaled our original drawing that was this, a letter size page. Well, that's obviously digital, but it's a real size, it's a real letter size page, to this using the maximum size of the block. And this is scaling. Once you have the grid all done, then you will start making the same exercise as we did it since the very first example. What you want to do is basically to open this like in your iPad or maybe in your laptop, and be like paying attention to this drawing, close attention, and then obviously drawing over here on your block. Okay, remember, guys, I know that if you want, you can print it and you can just translate it, but that's not the point. What I need you guys is, again, remember, if I just go this as a close-up, you get it. There's nothing. It's just like dots and lines and textures. I want you to train your brain to see that. Just dots, lines, textures, and colors, okay? Okay, so this is completely optional, but this is something that I recommend. What I did is just draw with a marker a line right in like the part that is not going to be our page, so we can have a black area like a border or a margin where we can try to make this workout, so we don't get like distracted for this extra area, or the area that we're not going to use. As you can see, sometimes the kind of marker, when we're using it, as you can see, it has like a, I get like the shape, it has like a pointy shape. This is not a new one, that's why it's a little bit messy, but basically the shape of the marker is going to give us the way how we should use it. Okay, so basically just a little bit, what I'm doing is this. Here on the extra borders of my log or my final drawing, that's absolutely optional.